Hi, and welcome to Best Story Wins. I'm your host, Josh RITCHIE, and I'm here with my co-host, Jason LANKOW. And today, our guest is Kaiwei Tang, who is the co-founder and CEO of Light, which is the maker of the Light phone. Kai, thanks for being on today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Kai, can you give our listeners an overview of what Light does, what you focus on, your role, and also a little bit of background on the story of your company?
Yes, happy to. So we created Light as a brand and Light Phone back in 2015. The whole purpose is that, me and my co-founder, we both just get sick of smartphone and social media, and we're looking around and trying to find a different solution, but there's nothing else on the market that only offers utility tools on your phone. Everything comes with social media, advertisement, data collecting, attention economy. So we decided to create a tool ourselves. I think this is, like I said, 2015. My background is in product design, product development, and user research. Joe Hollier, my co-founder, his background is in graphic design. And we participated in this incubator that Google created for designers. And there are 15 designers, I think, in the incubators. And we met with successful entrepreneur, VCs all the time. And the more we talk about the landscape of the app and social media, the more I feel like the direction of using how much time that users spend in your app as a way to make money or measure if whether or not you're successful, it's just very toxic in my opinion. And we did our research, just very basic, just sitting in the park, restaurant, train station, and every time you look up, you just see 99% of people on their phones scrolling away. It just, I think that's what prompt us to pursue this journey. Light phone is a minimum smartphone. It only offers utility tool without distraction, without advertisement, or we don't make money from your data. There's no incentive for us to drive engagement. We have a tagline we use, we call Light phone, your phone away from phone, or it's designed to be used as little as possible. It's in a way, it's similar to, I guess, hammer, screwdriver, right? The tool that you have for a specific task, and you use your hammer, finish the task, you put the hammer away, go back to your life. You don't swipe your hammer for 5 hours so the hammer company can make money, right? But that's how we use our smartphone right now. And millions in app and social medias are doing the same thing, utilizing the attention economy. Excuse me. So yeah, my Light phone is created to be that different tool so that we could all take a break and use our technology as tools again, not a portal to social media or data collecting.
Yeah, that was a good visual of the hammer swiping for 5 hours. So when did you, have you always been an entrepreneur, or when did you realize you wanted to be an entrepreneur or work in the tech space in general?
Well, no. So I actually worked for designing mobile phones for Motorola, Nokia, BlackBerry for quite some time. I quit the job in 2012. I just kind of get sick of what's the point of designing a smartphone every 6 months just because there is a slightly better camera or like half-second faster processor, so that we, because of that, we're designing a new phone. Like, I don't see the point of that. And that was like the golden age of smartphone at the time. So I decided to quit and decided never gonna make a phone again. But here we are. But yeah, I mean, when we start doing the research and when we come up with the idea of, I wasn't sure that what exactly the solution would be, but the more we look into that business model of attention economy on smartphone, the more we realize, or I realize that, the phone is not the problem. The problem is the advertisement and the attention economy behind it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, how challenging has it been to develop a product that seems to be sort of at odds with what the majority of people are choosing?
It was difficult. But one thing that's really encouraging is that the last 7, 8 years, every year we see the movement, this trend or the movement growing every year. As a company, we don't really use social media advertisement or promotion to share life phone with our customers. We rely on word of mouth, people talking about life phone, people that endorse life phone and share life phone with the family and friends. Even just that, we see our business grow every year. And they're just, more companies, even app, right? Google, Apple, they create the screen time app, or they are, digital product that help you restrict the usage on smartphone. More articles, people talking about the impact of social media addictions and smartphone addictions. We now have partnership with schools, parents that buy life phone for kids. So I really see us. Well, we are just at the tipping point of this whole movement. Smartphone is a great tool, but I think it's time to offer something else. Like I always use the analogy that the car, like we design different car. We have a big SUV, a truck to carry a lot of things, right? You also have a mini car designed for city driving. So when it comes to phone, why can't we have a smartphone that's, in my opinion, is a mini computer, right? Do everything for you. And why can't we have a different phone that's designed just as a utility tool? So I believe the bigger the problem gets to, the bigger of this segment that we are in will get to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the word of mouth marketing is working. I mean, that's how I found Light, and that's how I came to buy my phone. So it sounds like the decision to create Light was sort of a personal one. But how did you develop the conviction to essentially challenge some pretty big companies? I mean, there's some titans in the phone space, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's just it's reason it makes sense to me. It's only human that we wanted to take a break, in any sense, right? It's only human that we become aware of something is horribly wrong when everyone's staring at the screen, swiping. Like 7 years ago, when we introduced Light Phone, the reaction is really polarized. There are a group of people that think Light Phone makes no sense. Why do I need a smaller phone that do less than my smartphone? And another group of people were like, Light Phone is going to change my life. I don't need to be on my smartphone all the time. So the reaction is polarized. But I always go back to my own feeling about how we interact with our smartphone, like, go to bed with it, sleep with it, wake up with it, go to restroom with it, eat dinner with it. I fundamentally believe this is not human. It's a byproduct from the business model that everyone is utilizing. I think in my opinion, smartphone, in 20 years, when we look back on our behavior with smartphone, we'll be like, what the hell is going on? Why are we glued to this screen all the time? I always joke about, if alien come to Earth right now, they'll be like, who is controlling human species from this screen? What's the point of, what's so interesting in that screen? They don't really pay attention to everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I've heard people say that like smartphone addiction is kind of the modern day equivalent of being addicted to smoking. I'm sure you've probably heard that anecdote before, but you touched on something that I want to unpack there about this not really being human, the kind of average interaction that we have with our smartphones. But I'm curious to understand if there's like a spiritual, and interpret that how you will, like a spiritual dynamic at play here. Like, do you feel like our addiction to tech is essentially like affecting people's souls? I mean, you see pretty regularly online that people are linking phone usage or phone over usage to anxiety and depression, other things like that. Like, do you have a perspective on this?
Yeah, well, I guess I always believe that be more connected or spend more time on your screen is not going to make us any happier. I guess like we're all looking for the happiness, right? We're all looking for ways to make us happy. And smartphone and social media give us that short, like 5-second excitement that give you dopamine, right? So that's why we're addicted. But we never spend more than 5 seconds looking to understanding the articles or the problems or what do we see on the news. In the news, I think that also contribute to how polarized we are, politics or anything else. Because you can go on social media, everything's curated to drive engagement. So you watch a YouTube video. So and after that, YouTube start feeding you all the similar videos, right? So you only see the things that you like, and you don't see the other side of the arguments or the thing that you don't agree with. So spiritual or not, I feel like us as a human being spending more time on this tiny little screen. Well, I guess it's no longer that tiny. It's just never gonna make us any happier. And there are research and studies out there basically saying that we are, with our smartphone, we are always distracted. The anxiety, the teenager suicide rate increased right after iPhone was introduced. I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence. It's just because, well, for example, like how do you drive engagement? You drive engagement by provoke reaction. What's the best way to provoke reaction? To show you something that you hate or something that, gets you blood boiling up. Right? So I just don't think that's healthy, and that should be the only direction our technology tool is leading to.
I really appreciate your perspective there. That's really thoughtful. And I'm curious with your business overall, you obviously are on the opposite end of the like growth at all costs mindset. But what practical challenges are you facing in your business, and how do you navigate those?
Yeah, we are not we are for profit, right? So this is not a nonprofit company. So obviously we wanted to we need to make money. We need to sustain the operations and grow. But I don't agree that the only way to do that is to utilize users' data to sell people's data to drive engagement. I just don't think that should be the only way. So for us, our business is partially obviously selling phones. We are also a service provider, meaning that you can use my SIM card when you buy a light phone. So we have recurring revenue from our service plan. And that's enough for us to. The last few years, we are self-sustaining. We raise a bit of money from investors, but mostly we are relying on the sales every month to grow, to sustain operations, and it's been going quite well. And I think it's helpful that our cost per acquisition is really low because we don't pay Facebook or X to promote iPhone. We rely on our users. We rely on influencers, celebrities. We just did a partnership with Kendrick Lamar's brand, PG Land, to increase awareness to, obviously I'm biased, so don't listen to me. Listen to your friends that use iPhone. And maybe, one of our strategy was to share users' stories from different angles. Like a dad bought an iPhone for the entire family because he was watching TV one day and his kids come up and saying, "Hey, Dad, could you put the phone down?" Because he was on his phone doing emails while watching TV. And his kids came up to him and like, "Hey, can you, I want to ask you something about what's happening on TV." And that's when he realized that something is horribly wrong with his relationship with smartphone. So he went online, Google non-smartphone, and find us and buy an iPhone for the entire family. Or we have teachers telling us that, when kids using iPhone in school, in class, they don't have to tell them to like put the smartphone down, or there's no drama from social media. Kids are actually reacting, paying attention, playing, making new friends. So from different angles, we love to share those stories with people because, and at the end of the day, we're not selling something. We are promoting a product that's somewhat foreign. I know it's a phone, but you don't leave your smartphone behind. You don't not use your smartphone, right? So we're trying to change users' behavior, which is always difficult. So, we wanted to use those stories to show you that, hey, there are better ways to do it. Your life can be different, can be better. You might feel less anxious. You probably become less stressful. We have users telling us their heart rate reduced when they use iPhone. We have college students told us that they pick up another major because they have more time now without smartphone. They read more books, watch more movies. So all that, to me, is just such a encouraging stories to us, to the team internally. Also, I think it's really encouraging to potential users as well.
That's really interesting. And it's interesting how you're mentioning you're not necessarily asking people to give up their smartphone entirely. So I'd imagine you think about market share a little bit differently than, iPhone versus Android or something. How do you think about like goals for growth? You're not necessarily trying to like unseat and completely dismantle those people as competitors, right?
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe big picture.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. And we, at the beginning, when we started a company, we were not trying to compete with smartphone. We're trying to say every smartphone user can have a iPhone for the weekend, for holiday, taking a break, right? But the more we talk to our users, learning from them and ourselves, the more we realize that a lot of our users are ready to move on from smartphone. So, half of our users right now from what we know, use light phone as their only phone, primary phone. They have tablet and laptop for everything else. Another half of our users use light phone as the secondary phone for the weekend after 7 p.m. holiday. Right? So obviously, as a company, our goal is always try to grow our revenue, try to share more light phone with as many people as we can. But I think, this pie of non-smartphone market, I think it's just the beginning. If 1% of smartphone users believe in the mission, resonate with what we're trying to do, we'll be selling 1 billion units a year. So, to me, that's just we're just the beginning of in my opinion, a significant movement. It's about to happen. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to switch to light phone. It just means I think smartphone, it's just not human and need to be breakdown.
So as the CEO of the company, I know a lot of your work is, around vision and culture, just overall inspiring the team. You mentioned your background actually building phones, designing phones. Is there an aspect of the product or something from your previous life that you've found you still really enjoy doing at your company?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed designing based on users' feedback, based on user research. That's my background. I find satisfactions by creating a solution that solve a problem, I guess. But as you know, when running a company, most of my time is in, investment, working with investors, running operations, finding the people around operations, and creating a roadmap for the team. So, I don't really spend much time doing the things I enjoy. But that's just the reality of running a startup, especially running a global mobile brand from building hardware, software, and service plan from scratch. So, even though I'm not doing the things I enjoy the most, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't enjoy raising money, but I enjoy talking to investors, finding the people that really believe in what we're trying to do, and making friends, and they supporting us. That works for me. I guess that works for my personality. I don't treat investor as transactional parties. It's more about I'll tell you everything about LightPhone, what we're trying to do, our missions. I hope that you resonate, and I hope that you think there's a huge market, potential market for us, and could potentially change a lot of people's life. And I think we are already seeing that our product create some impact to change our users' daily routine or life from different angle, which I'm extremely grateful that what we do could deliver that sort of impact.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty of your answer there. Not everyone talks about what they don't enjoy doing, but as a business owner, I think what you shared resonates with both Jason and myself. I know it resonates for me. I want to talk a little bit about the story more specifically too. One of my favorite things about your brand is there's a piece of copy on your site that says designed to be used as little as possible, which I think it's a great value proposition for you all. Is that if you were to like kind of isolate the part of your story that resonates with people the most, is it that, or are there other parts of what you're doing and how you've built the brand that people are saying, that's why I chose you all, and like kind of like spoke to me at a heart level and pulled me in?
Well, I don't know if our stories or our tagline is that inspiring. I hope it. I hope it does. I feel like our user resonate with the product is mostly because they feel the pain as well. I think there are always tensions between us and our relationship with smartphone and social media, and it becomes more visible and more severe the last few years. And I think people or we will always have this we're craving to escape, and you know that kind of reflecting on how our new user find us. It's mostly organic, mostly just searching for non-smartphone, no distraction phones, and then find us. So I feel like people resonate or buying our product. It's mostly because as human, we all feel something is not right with how we interact with the screens. Um, we're not anti-smartphone. I always trying to emphasize that. I don't. It's not like I don't like technology. I want to go back to Stone Age, right? I also don't want to bring back old school phones. That's not the point. We wanted to take a step forward, meaning that now we all know how social media manipulate your information. Now we all know about attention economy. Now we kind of know about why we're so addictive. So we could choose what makes sense. You don't have to take it all in. You don't have to accept what Apple, Google, Samsung, or whatever the big tech company created. You could, we wanted to create this product. So for someone else that feel like, oh, I don't want to show my location to the big tech. I don't want to sell my data. I don't want to see advertisement. I just want to listen to podcasts or getting a direction from A to B. That's it. I don't want anything else. Why don't you give me this product for free and charge me with my data and time and attention, right? So I feel like it's only human that a lot more people are now feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you talked a little bit earlier too about how you're getting feedback from people on how they're able to now spend more time with their kids, how they're able to add a major, how they're able to just enjoy what should have been all along, that leisure time, in a way that they weren't because of their relationship with tech. As someone that kind of stepped into the unknown, so to speak, here and took a risk, raised money, you dedicated a good chunk of your life already towards building this product and this company. Like, how does it feel to get those validations by way of customer feedback? That has to feel good, right?
Oh, it feels so good. And I always tell people that this is only one of the biggest reasons we are still doing what we're doing. Because as entrepreneurs that are doing hardware and against the mainstream flow, it's extremely difficult. I used to tell myself that every time I wake up in the morning, I have like 100 things, 500 things that's going to crash the company, and I could give up. I could easily give up, keep moving forward. I could probably make more money for myself working for big tech or whatever, right? But those like piece of feedback and stories from our users, either through emails or social media stories or anything else, or from word of mouth, those stories kept us going. The only reason we're still here is because of those stories, to be honest with you. My co-founder Joe and I, we both believe firmly, we're passionate about this product, and seeing that our product actually contribute to the positive change to people's life. I don't know if anything else I do create as much impact, to be honest. So that's what kept us going, and that's we all where we are today. It's because of users' stories.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. So you touched on something else too that I want to go back and just unpack a little bit. You mentioned the partnership with Kendrick Lamar. Can you share a little bit about how that came about and how the reception's been thus far?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dave Free and Kendra's partner, we spoke about Lightphone a couple of years ago, and I think their team just really resonate with what we're trying to do. We spent quite a long time back and forth talking about how do we amplify this message, and yeah, we decided to create a limited edition Lightphone for their brand. And the reaction was extremely positive from the press, from our users. There's only 250 limited edition phones, but I think the awareness through their platform is really helpful. And hopefully through this collaboration, more people know about Lightphone. Or just, I guess you don't have to buy a Lightphone if what we're doing reminded you to be mindful or be intentional about your technology usage. That's awesome. This is a movement that I think we need a lot more parties and people to jump in from different angles, right? Taking a digital detox doesn't mean you have to buy a iPhone. You could go on a weekend retreat. You could try to turn your screen black and white. You could delete the app, or get a old school flip phone if that works for you. I still think that's awesome. But for Lightphone, my angle or our angle is that I wanted to create a tool that designed specifically for this purpose. So hopefully users' experience is special. Like, okay, the next 3 days or next weekend, I'm going to go light. I'm going to use Lightphone. I decided I'm going to not look at my social media. I wanted to enjoy the time with the people I care about. I'm not going to bother by or getting annoyed or angry by any of the news. I want to enjoy my own time. So when you make that decision through Lightphone, your experience immediately become extremely special. And when you go out, you're always being reminded that, okay, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to try to make small conversation. I'm not going to look at my screen. So I think that experience is really special, and that's how we get more people to try Lightphone to take a break. You could also say, "Oh, I'll just turn on flight mode or turn off my smartphone." But I don't think I don't think that experience is as special. If you're using another analogy, it's like taking, photography is such an interesting thing to do with the real camera, with adjustment that you could do, the settings, right? Taking real camera, take photos versus bring a smartphone, take 1,000 photos a day, which you never look at, you never see it again. You just take 1,000 photos, but nothing special.
You've touched on a lot of things in the realm of values here, and you were also mentioning earlier the things you don't do in your marketing. With regard to using other people's user data. But what would you say from a brand standpoint? Is there like an overall philosophy of the brand that guides you?
Yeah, I mean, we try to stick to our main missions of why we create Light. We want to create technology that empower users instead of the other way around, using users to make money. But I think we have 3 sets of principle that guides our software and product. I get that question a lot from investors, from users saying that, hey, Lightphone has podcasts, has notes, has voice memo, has direction. Are you becoming a smartphone? Right? You get more tools. Are you becoming a smartphone? I always share this principle that in my mind, or in Joe, my co-founder, my team's mind, it's really clear. As long as a tool fit into three principles, we're happy to create them. It's just, we're slow because we have limited resource. But the three principles are: one, every action that user take has a clear ending. So you take it, you get a direction from A to B. This action ends. There's nothing else I want you to do. Nothing else I want to show you. That's it, right? Number two, there's no advertisement. We don't collect data. We don't sell you data. We don't show you advertisement. Number three, there's no infinite feeds. There's nothing for you to browse, nothing for you to scroll. Right? So as long as the tool fit into those criteria, the product fit into those criteria, we're happy to introduce them. I mean, this principle applied to the software tool in Lightphone, also applied to potential new product down the road. Like, the dream scenario of our brand is that Light is the new technology brand. We have our principle, we have our missions, and this principle applied to different category of product. Phone, Lightphone, it just happened to be the first product, the first problem we wanted to address, but Light principle could apply to different product, getting rid of data collecting, getting rid of attention economy, no advertisement, a Light laptop for writer only, or Light ebook that's not Amazon. We don't collect data. It just design well, do one thing good, and nothing else. Right. So
yeah. So any podcast that's recorded in 2023 has to touch on the economy a little bit, right? Because we're in a state of flux. Certain people are saying we're in a recession. Certain people are saying it's right around the corner. But I think we all can agree that things are changing. It's a different economy than it was a couple of years ago. Does that change anything, or what does that mean for a brand like Light?
Well, it was quite scary when the pandemic happened. I was worried that the supply chain was impacted as well. But it turns out that we actually get more users right after or during pandemic or right after pandemic. I think my theory is that because we're all quarantined or locked up at home, we just use our screens so much, it just creates this backlash or tension, or you become self-aware of how do I spend this much time. So we actually get more orders to sustain our operations throughout pandemic. The supply chain during this last few years was difficult, but at the same time, because we're not fighting with the most common, most advanced components that smartphone use, so it doesn't really create that much problem for us. I think the most problem that created for us was suppliers asking for more deposit because everyone's doing that. So that increased our cost. But I think we have a pretty healthy structure, partially thanks to our low marketing expense. We don't really do much of the marketing at all. So we were able to sustain ourselves and grow in a steady pace. So yeah, I think we have we're not trying to upsell iPhone every year. iPhone 2 is out there for 4 years, but we still have daily orders every day. More people are buying iPhone, which kind of blew my mind all the time. So how do you know about iPhone? It's awesome. Like I usually get some random call to my phone numbers asking, like, is this iPhone? Because I guess my number is out there because we registered a company back in the days, use my number. And like every time I get that number, I always ask this person, like, how do you know about LightPhone? And 9 out of 10 times, like, oh, I heard it from my friends. Oh, my family's one of them using LightPhone, telling me about how that helped them. So yeah, that's always fascinating.
That's really cool. You're getting real-time customer data. Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. It can be annoying, but I love talking to someone that use iPhone or learn how they get exposed to iPhone's product.
Yeah, you got to think that if someone is able to get the CEO of the company on the phone and just have a quick chat, like that's going to develop so much brand equity. So really cool that you're doing that. I would want it. It'd make me want to buy the product if I could talk to the guy. So that's cool.
Well, I appreciate that, but there are people that couldn't get used to iPhone as well. And we know what are the problems, we know what are the shortcomings, and we're gonna try to improve them down the road.
You need a second light phone that is not the number that was published online.
No, it's fine. I love it actually. I remember this old lady called me on the phone and said, "Is this Light Company?" I was like, "Yes, it is Light Company. How can I help you?" I was like, "Oh, how do I get SIM cards in there?" I was like, "Okay, there's a SIM tray. You could pop in a SIM tray and find a SIM card." And I told him all about life. I told her all about light phones, and he was like, "How do you start a company?" So we have a whole podcast sessions with her. With her as well. It's fascinating. Oh, and there's like 8 years old kid called me saying like, "My mom asked me to call the number." I was like, "Oh, how can I help you?" How do I import how do I import contact to my light phone? Oh, okay, you could go to dashboards.
That's really cool. Do you? So you've mentioned this, like, you're not on this, merry-go-round of like new features every 6 months. You just mentioned the Light 2 has been out for 4 years. How do you think about the future and like what's next for Light that you can share publicly?
Yeah, we have a roadmap of software tool, utility tool we wanted to create. So the whole, everything we do is trying to eliminate the frictions that user have. But you probably can't imagine, but there's so many people like, hey, if only you have, like, once you have Spotify integration, I'm in. Once you have WhatsApp, I'm in. Once you have, something else, I'm in. Like, everyone has their essential tools, which makes sense, right? My essential tool might not be the same as everyone else's. Like, case in point, obviously we have like priority list for software development tools, right? And from our original roadmap, emoji keyboard wasn't on it. I wasn't. I never thought about emoji being a priority at all. And we did a survey with our users last year, and emoji keyboard was like top 3, one of the top 3 feature requested. I was like, oh, yeah, sure thing. I never thought about that. So we reprioritized our software team and made a emoji keyboard and launched it earlier this year. So yeah, that whole conversation of what's essential, what's not essential, it's fundamental to making that change, in my opinion. Because I think when you start thinking about what do you need from your phone, that's when you start to realize, I don't really need the whole thing. I don't need a mini computer 24/7. It's like, there are users told us that, hey, I love iPhone, but I don't know if I can do it. I understand, because that's our life, daily routine. Every day you use your smartphone, right? If you have like a work related, you're driving an Uber or something, right? Obviously you're gonna have your smartphone. But if you think about it, if you like, okay, what's stopping you from moving away from smartphone? what are the things that stopping you from moving away? A lot of people says email, right? And I always challenge that, because like, do we really need email access 24/7? Like, really, we need 24/7 access. When you're walking around, try to enjoy time with your kids in the park. When sit in the bathroom, like, or queue up to try to pay for grocery for 5 seconds. Like, do we really need email 24/7? Right. So, thinking through each tool, what makes sense to you, is fundamental to making this change, to making this lifestyle change. And it's important to us as well, to get a consensus from our users, what's important to them. Obviously I have my own bias. I have my own priorities, but it doesn't mean my priorities is the same with everyone else. But I guess the problem is we are a small team still, so we have limited resources. So we have to, pretty actively prioritizing our resource to make sure we could attract new users and make our existing user experience better. At the same time, sustaining the company and grow in a way that we feel comfortable.
So what's your take on what's happening in the wacky world of AI? Are you thinking of any integrations into the product or using AI in any way internally, or are you like avoiding it altogether?
This can be another episode of podcast. I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I will just share the summary of what I'm thinking. Because back in the days when smartphone first, well, before even smartphone, the reason we or all the companies making phones every other month is because engineering breakthrough. We always make new product because engineering breakthrough. And I feel like AI is the same thing. Now everyone's mind goes to AI, and how do we utilize it? How do we use AI to build the product? It's the same thing. Like, why are we doing that? We should build product because there is a need, there's a problem, and this thing could help us accomplish the boring task faster, so we could go back living our life, right? There are definitely AI products that could achieve that, which is amazing. I think we should continue doing that. But at the same time, I have, obviously a lot of people have concerns, like once the attention economy start creeping in, it's going to be the same thing in terms of the negative impact from social media and smartphone or non-AI product. As long as we start utilizing the attention economy advertisement, it's going to get worse with AI. And at the same time, like, I feel like a deja vu, right? From comparing to the old days that, we have a new camera, let's build a new phone. Or, I have this way to rotate the phone, to flip the phone the different angle, let's build a new product, right? So, we have this AI, let's build a new product because of that. I just don't think that makes sense. But I think that will unfortunately be the direction that we're heading into. In terms of our own companies, I thought about it, like, how do I, what are the pain point that we could use artificial intelligence as a tool to help resolve the problems and help our users get back to their life faster. Like, maybe down the road, we could have a way to use verbal command, voice command, almost like an assistant to our users, right? Get an Uber ride for me at this location or something like that. That would be amazing. That means less interaction between you and the device, which I'm all for it. It's awesome. But at this point, I don't think we are prioritizing any of our resources to try to incorporate technology as is. And I have a lot of issues with, how do we control the data? Is that really secure? No one knows. So
Yeah. Yeah, you can, when there's a super intelligent AI system that is capable of deceiving you into thinking it's secure, that'll be interesting. Like, we use your data for anything else. And yeah.
well, it's the same. It's the same philosophy, the same principle. Right? If you start using attention economy, if you start using that to make money, doesn't matter AI or anything else, we will end up at the same place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really excited to hear you speak on this. And your answer seems consistent with kind of the ethos that you've unpacked for us about your brand, your product. I have a crazy idea, which is there might be an application for you all in developing an AI program that can take those calls if you don't want to take them. Maybe in your voice, but that's down the road probably, right?
Yeah. There's so many possibilities. And I try not to think about going into those conversations with, just thinking about the technology. I wanted to think about, what's users' pain point and what's the problem we have right now. And if this AI technology could help do that at the same time, like obviously there's a lot of caveat. How do I ensure personal data is not being utilized for profit? How do I ensure there's no advertisement? If you don't do that, how do you sustain your business? It's a very interesting space we are entering right now. But I feel like we are repeating the same mistake that we are doing with smartphone and social media.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and I agree. I think we can spend a whole hour talking about just this. Maybe in our follow-up episode. Kai, I know we're at time right now. It's been a pleasure just hanging out with you and chatting with you. If people want to learn more about you, learn more about Light, where's the best place for them to find you online and to give you all a follow?
I don't think I am not that interesting, but you could definitely go to Lightphone. There's a lot of information on Lightphone. I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can easily find me. But we have on our website there we post the stories of how we started a company. We have a blog that talking about the manufacturings, talking about why are we creating Lightphone and our users. So that could be interesting read for anyone that's interested.
Cool. And it's thelightphone.com, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kai.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.